Hello family, my name is Chris, I am your home gamer dad, and on today's journey we will be jumping into the role of a band of mercenaries. Just trying to make a quick goal, not really caring where the next job comes from. However, in the world of Gloomhaven, we know that it's never really that simple. There's always something bigger at hand. So, choose your character, prepare your cards and gear, and get ready to enjoy an adventure that will always change every time you play. Which means that you should always remember, when playing Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, your mileage may vary. The original Gloomhaven was released in 2017, and let's be honest, that game was massive. Maybe not so much by games nowadays, because things just seem to be getting bigger and bigger, but for the time, that game was huge, it was heavy, and it was loaded with all types of things to do in the game. And I think, personally, that was the surge for these large-style campaign games to actually, make it big out there. And of course, the people that make Gloomhaven and whatnot saw that, they were like, hey, a lot of people are enjoying this, but we need to be able to make it more of a mass audience type deal. And that is where we have the 2020 version of Gloomhaven that came out, Jaws of the Lion, a much smaller, condensed version of the original game. And quite honestly, I appreciate this one more than the original. Don't get me wrong, I love the original, but this is a little bit easier to digest. So today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 reasons why I absolutely love Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. There will be things in here that I dislike as well, and that's kind of how this works. My likes, my dislikes, but more importantly, my story with the game, my journey with it, and the experiences that I had along the way as I got this game, played through it, and all that other fun stuff. This is also something I want to hear from you down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. What has your adventures been like? Have you completed the campaign? Who's your favorite character? Any tips and tricks you can share with the rest of the family that may be thinking about this game or stuck at a certain part or anything along that ways? There is so many different ways to play this game that each and every one of us will definitely have a different journey, a different adventure all the way from beginning to end. So with that said, let's go ahead and start this adventure with number 1. And these are in no particular order, by the way. As mentioned before, but I can't emphasize enough, Jaws of the Lion is a lighter version of a very heavy game. A big thing that you have to remember is that your gaming experiences are going to vastly differ from mine. You're going to know more games than I do, you're going to experience different games than I do. So when it comes to these large big box campaign games, Gloomhaven for me was like the first one that I ever played, and it was fantastic. I never could imagine a video game RPG, which I love. I love so many video game RPGs, besides just Final Fantasies, but so many of them out there. I could never imagine something like that being translated to a tabletop board game, and Gloomhaven was the thing that changed my mind about that. Picking what quest you want to do and just really working together with your team in order to be able to move on to the next story beat or do something else in order to power your guys up and everything. And that was amazing, absolutely awesome. But the game itself was huge and complicated, and really you needed a full day gaming session in order to do maybe 2 or 3 missions. If you were lucky, you were able to get 3. And then in 2020, as I mentioned before, came Jaws of the Lion, which this game is this game, but as you can just see already, it's just smaller. It's smaller, it's more condensed, it's easier to manage, it's easier to go into this and everything and understand more about how the game plays, what you're expected and things like that. So this way, if you go from here to here, it's an easier transition. Now going from this way was a little difficult because there are certain things that are changed within Jaws of the Lion that are not in the original Gloomhaven. Just like minor things here and there, inventory management, there's no summons in this, things along that ways, but the concepts are still there, and I love that so much, where even though I've played this and understood it, I can pick this up right away and be like, I know where I am, I'm familiar with this, let's go on an adventure. The other thing that I like about Jaws of the Lion compared to Gloomhaven is that Gloomhaven is very legacy-based. There are things that you do when you go through Gloomhaven, putting stickers on boards and unlocking certain things, and there are certain boxes that you can't open unless you hit like an achievement or whatnot. Jaws of the Lion kind of has that. Each one of the characters does have a special box that you can't open until they hit, I think, level 5. And then, of course, if you're going through the map itself, you can put stickers on that in order to track your progress. But that's really it. There's really nothing about Jaws of the the Lion that is going to affect you from game to game should you like choose to restart it, which honestly, I've restarted this game several times. And I think that's just another thing that I love about Jaws of the Lion compared to the original is the simplicity of it. The ability to kind of restart whenever you want, to jump back into a game if you need to be able to be like, I've gotten this far, I haven't played in months and months and months, let me just restart it from the beginning and go from there. And for that, I thank it so much. It is amazing. And it actually will lead me into my next subject of this, the overall setup of the game and how fast you can go from a closed box to a game. Number 2, the scenario book structure is something I'd like to see a lot more of. So these are your maps. Inside of these spiral books that you get within the game are your maps. You go right into it and boom, there it is. There's where everybody starts. You have all of the different icons on here already. You're able to see where everything starts, the map and whatnot. Okay, so in comparison to the original Gloomhaven where you had to look in that scenario book and build the map, you could actually like not look at a certain area. So this way when you go into a room, you're not surprised by, oh no, there's something that spawned there. I didn't expect that and whatnot. Whereas in this book, you can actually look right at the map and be able to see precisely where everything is at any given point. I don't mind that so much because I can easily ignore it because what I'm looking for right now is what's in front of me. What is the thing that's going to do me the most harm? What's going to be my first target? What's going to be my first objective? Things along that way. And there's also like all of the extra writing and storyline along here that will spawn enemies as you go through the map. You also have a supplementary book here. This one is significantly smaller than the other one, but what's also cool is you can put important information into this book. So if you have just page 1 right here, there's just like story ending points to various missions, so you don't actually see what you're getting or what's happening next. And then you also have map extensions to here. So if you need just a little bit more space or one more page or something along that ways in order to make a map complete, the supplementary book is perfect in order to be able to do that. You save so much time with your setup using these books going right into a game of Jaws of the Lion compared to the original that I want more of these. I want more campaign style games to give me book setup so I can just go boom, up, open up, that's my mission, boom, on the table, put everything on it, boom, 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 let's go, we're ready to get this started. I love this book idea. I know other games do it, but again, this was my first experience, my first exposure to this type of map setup. And quite frankly, the more of it I see, the happier I am. Please let me know down in the comments below what other games use this style for their campaigns, for their map structure and everything, because I would love to check them out and be able to play them one day. Number 3, the opening tutorial to this game is the perfect way to introduce it to someone new to the series. For those of you that may not know, Rodney Smith over at the Watch It Play channel did a 5-part video series of the first 5 missions for Jaws of the Lion. And those missions within the books are actually made as tutorial missions, slowly introducing the players to the different mechanics and the way the game plays and it flows and whatnot. So this way, brand new players to the series aren't overwhelmed by 1,000 different things thrown at them all at once. As mentioned before, in the original Gloomhaven, there are a lot of mechanics to that game and a lot of things that you, the player, have to learn and know as you go through it in order to best take advantage of your character's skills. The game itself doesn't introduce you to any of that. You kind of just learn it on the fly as you go. Whereas in Jaws of the Lion, the first few like missions and everything, there are specific cards that you have in your deck that pretty much say you're only going to use these for these first few missions so you know how the cards work, so you can understand the iconography, so you can understand what exactly each one of the cards do and how they play and the different things that you can do with each one of them. And I love that. Now, as a veteran of the game, of course, because I played the original, coming on over, I think I skipped the first mission completely because that was really just like, here are the basics. You go in, you fight things, you win. All right. At least then with mission 2, the enemies start dropping money, so you can start building it up for your character, experience things along that ways, and it shows you how your characters level up and how they develop as you go through the game. So I just completely skipped mission 1. However, if I were to ever play this with, say, my wife or my kids when they get older or whatever, of course I'm going to start at mission 1 because that's going to be exactly what they need to learn. The core basic to the game, and then in the next mission you learn, all right, I learned about picking up stuff. I learned about how the different cards interact with each other. I learned about, I don't even remember what it was. comes with a learn to play guide. Of course, it's a huge book and it covers the first 5 scenarios, and I always recommend watching the videos, but at least that's how I like to learn. But even still, it shows you exactly the items that you're going to be using for each one of the scenarios and what new things you're going to be doing, whether that be adding in new terrain, going up against different monsters, adding in new cards to your deck, just learning the different mechanics and different way the games play slowly, one mission at a time. And then by the time you're done with scenario 5, that's when the true story of the game kicks in and you're able to take your characters on the journey that you wish to take them on. And that's where branching paths happen, side missions open up, all kinds of things like that. I love the opening tutorial to this game, because even though this game is considered a little bit more on the medium side or whatever, heavy if you just want to see it as a Gloomhaven thing, this opening tutorial makes all the difference for anybody that may want to play and really determine if this is the game for them after you finish those missions. Number 4, the combat system is very smart, well made, and requires a lot of tactics and only a little bit of luck. Might as well just leave these guys out here, because we're going to be talking about how the game actually functions mechanically in combat, which is what you're going to be doing 90% of the time as you play the game. Each character comes with 2 decks of cards. One is your action cards that determine what it is that you do during the game, and then the modifier deck, which determines basically whenever you do an attack, are you increasing its damage, decreasing its damage, things along that ways. I want to talk about the modifier deck first, because this is the alternate to rolling dice. This game is very... You would expect there to be dice with this, something to like roll to determine how much damage you do or something along that ways. No dice in this game whatsoever. It's all about this deck. You're going to draw these cards, and on these cards you're going to have something as simple as a +0, which doesn't modify it at all. You're just doing the straight damage, to plus numbers, so +1 or +2, increasing the damage, -1, -2, decreasing the damage, means that your attack doesn't do as much, critical hits, and then of course completely missing your attack altogether. What's awesome about this deck is that it starts pretty balanced right in the beginning of the game, equal amount of pluses and minuses and things like that. But as you go through it, as you build up your character and level them up and whatever, you actually modify the modifier deck, removing certain cards from it and then adding in better things, more additional damage cards, ways to add elements to the field and whatnot, or just other different effects and everything. As far as your character's basic attack cards go, the way that these work is absolutely crazy. Most of them are going to go right to your discard pile, so you're able to reshuffle it back in a little bit later. But once you reshuffle cards, you actually lose some of them along the way. So you have to get rid of them completely from the game, or at least the game that you're playing right there. Of course, at the end of the mission, everything comes back to you. And as you go through, your big deck of cards slowly but surely becomes really, really small, because your character's using more and more energy as they go through the dungeon. You can't just bum rush your way into a dungeon, use your most powerful attacks right away, and expect to survive all the way to the end. I mean, you can, but it's not the best tactic to use, because if your character gets knocked out, then they're gonna lose out on a lot of various gold and other things that you can get in the dungeon. Each card has 2 different abilities to it, a top and a bottom one that you can choose which one you can use. There's also default abilities to them. You can either do a basic 2 attack or a basic 2 move. And then the middle initiative number basically shows you what order people are going to go in the game. So the lower the number, the sooner they move in the initiative. And of course, all the monsters and everything that you fight as well have initiatives as well. So you got to figure out, is this a fast creature? Is this a slow creature? What cards am I going to use in what order? And work with your partner and, you know, whoever it is that you're in the dungeon with as well, to determine, hey, maybe it's better if I go first compared to you, so I can do this, that, and the other thing, and play off of each other. There's so much more that I can go into in terms of like how the combat system works with the elements and everything, modifier decks and the way that they adjust certain things, losing cards, range, push, pull. Yes, there's a lot to this game, but as I mentioned before, the tutorial really does a great job going through each one of those steps with you in order to show you exactly how your character works and the best way to work with them. I actually really like the Void Warden, oddly enough. They're not good to have in a solo game because they rely mostly on buffing all of the other characters, but I don't know, I like that type of strategy to her, manipulating other enemies and things along that ways. Demolitionist is also fun because she just goes in and just blows things apart. More of a close range melee fighter, but you can do a lot of stuff from range. Your hatchet is your range, your red guard is your tank. So as you can see, the party itself is very balanced. If you're going to be playing a 2-player, I do recommend, obviously, you know, probably do like either red guard and hatchet and then demolition or void warden. Pick one of those and like combine together. But the great thing about this game is you can play it however you want with whatever characters you want, and every time you play is going to be a different experience, because as you level up, you're going to be changing this deck as well. There's going to be cards you're going to be adding and removing, and it's just going to make your character stronger, more powerful, and more capable of winning each and every mission you go on. Number 5, Gloomhaven is how you go from RPG on a video game to the tabletop. I've mentioned it before, and I just can't repeat it enough. I'm a huge RPG fan for my video games. Besides the Final Fantasy series, Tales series, all kinds of stuff like that. Legend Dragoon I've been playing recently. Of course, like Skies of Arcadia is like one of my favorite one ever. Stuff like that where you have this grand adventure for your characters, building them up, strengthening them as you go on, and each decision you make and each point of the story leads to something stronger and better and cooler. More equipment, more items, more abilities, things like that. Never have I ever thought that I would be able to play something like that in a board game form, and Gloomhaven, it just hit all the right notes, following every single one of the things that I love most about those type of games, but right there in front of me on my table. Now, there are things that when you play a JRPG, you take for granted that this game has to kind of like have you bookkeep in a sense. That would be like monster health, monster effects, how they move, how they react to you. You know, whenever a monster goes on the field, who are they targeting? How far are they going to go? Are they going to jump into the trap? Are they not going to jump into the trap? I did 3 damage to that. Did I do 3 damage to that? I don't remember. There is a way that this game does keep track of all that using health tokens and moving them on and things like that. I used to use a Gloomhaven helper app, which unfortunately has been shut down since then. I think I can still get it on my base computer, but on my phone I can't download it anymore, which is really, really upsetting. But that was something that I love to be able to use because it took care of most of that for me. I did damage to a creature, oh, there it is. It put them in initiative order, awesome. It tells me exactly what, you know, effects they have, how much strength they have, how much defense they have, what their special abilities are. The app told me all of that for me, and I thought that was fantastic. And I know a lot of campaign games nowadays start really using those apps to do exactly that. In any event, it didn't really matter to me. I still love the way that this game portrayed itself as, you know, the adventure that I needed it to be. I didn't need to plug in anything. I didn't need to sit on my computer or sit on my TV or whatever, fiddling around with like my controllers and whatnot. This is something that I could touch, that I could feel, that I could actually dive into and immerse myself into that way, because it was right there in front of me and I could make up the story and make up the characters and make it all up as I go along. Yes, it's the same thing as like Dungeons and Dragons and something like that, but this is something that I could do on my own, and just, I don't know, it was something simpler for me. I could do it with one person or 2 or whatever, and it's just so cool the way that everything kind of comes together whenever you play Jaws of the Lion, and it all, or any Gloomhaven or any campaign game for that matter, and just seeing your story unfold one adventure at a time. And there you have it, everybody. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, a tabletop RPG campaign style game that is a little bit more open to the average gamer, rather than needing to be hardcore into like board gaming or the series or whatever. Anybody out there that's willing to give this a try, there are the first 5 tutorials in this that really set the stage for the game to determine if you enjoy it or not. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. This is all my opinion and how I feel about it. This game has been around for a long time. There are a ton of reviews out there, a ton of playthroughs and whatnot you can find about it. You can definitely go ahead and get other perspectives for the game to determine if this is something that you like, or if you have it already, maybe go back through it and see, try something different, try something new, try something you never did before, and get a different experience from the game than you've had previously. Little tiny bit of a confession I have, if you notice the images that I've been putting up here, I actually never completed the true campaign for Jaws of the Lion. I got close. I got a little bit more than halfway through, I believe, with Hatchet and Demolitionist, but I never finished the campaign. Even with my buddy Paul, I'm the Void Warden, he's the Red Guard. We only got so far. We did the tutorial 5 and I think like 1 or 2 missions, and that's it. We haven't gone back to play again. I have not actually seen the end of this game, but I would love to. Not only would I love to see the end of this game, I would love for you guys to walk me through it and help me out as well. One day I would like to start streaming on this channel, and if you think that maybe Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion would be an awesome game for me to stream, let me know. I could even just record it and put these videos out for you guys. Otherwise, I want to hear about your experiences. Tell me again, what did you think of Jaws of the Lion? What do you think of your own personal campaigns? Is this something that you would actually recommend to someone that's looking for something a little bit heavier, something a little bit more involved in the ways of a board game compared to like the simpler things or the easier things that are out there? Thank you all so much. You have been absolutely amazing. Again, let me know if you want to see me go through a fun campaign for Jaws of the Lion. I do have the fun character cards right here that I can put all the stuff on, keep track of things and things along that ways. My buddy Paul actually gave these to me. He got different ones as well. So these I got from him, which are awesome. I love having them. Makes things nice and easy to keep track of. And of course, then, if you think that's cool, or if there's other things you'll be interested in, be sure to subscribe to the Home Gamer Dad so you don't miss any future Gloomhaven action or any other fun videos I happen to put out for you to enjoy. Friends, family, everyone out there, take care of yourselves and each other. We are family forever, gaming together. You're all amazing. And I would go through a dungeon crawl with each and every one of you at any time because I trust you and I know that we would come out at the end richer, stronger, and with more glory to add to our town. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.